Hi, everybody. This is Claire Church and Pete Lewis. Yes, I did just touch my face. I'm going to do it again right now. So this is Muse Talks. We're checking in with musicians, venue owners, people that we know who most of their living is made by either performing or providing music services. And a lot of them have lost, if not all of their income, a sizable chunk of their income. And we just want to check in on people, let you get to know them a little bit more. And we've gotten to know some people that were friends of ours quite a bit better by doing these interviews. So, and this is Pete Lewis. Did I say that?
I don't know.
This is so we're here today with Colin Bricker, who you may not know Colin, because he's behind the scenes a little bit, but he's a really big force in the area. As he owns Notably, is it called Notably Fine now, or Mighty Fine?
It's Mighty Fine Productions.
Mighty Fine Productions. It used to be Notably Fine Audio, and he has helped many people make their musical dreams a reality by helping them make CDs or EPs or whatever. He's done and he's also a performer in his own right. So we're just gonna ask him some questions to let you get to know him a little bit. So what do you got?
Well, Colin, I want to know what inspired you to be a musician in the first place? Because just to backtrack on that question a little bit, when Claire met you, you were a saxophone player.
Sort of. Well, I mean that in the case of you were really an music engineering,
okay.
Right?
That's absolutely true. That's the correct statement. So when I was, I've always been really into sound, just like the way things sound. My parents were, and still are, avid music lovers and listeners. So there was always music in my house. And I just noticed from an early age that I could get like really fixated on just a tone or any kind of sound, like a truck passing by, birds in the trees. My dad had an electric guitar that his buddy brought over like when I was 3 years old. And I just remember like strumming the strings on that thing and hearing and just loving that kind of just the sound of it. So it started there. And then I got into the music program when I was in middle school. I had a great middle school band director, Gary Wiley, up in Greeley. And it totally saved my life being in music. Because I didn't care about, academics or any of that stuff. I was kind of lost until that time. But then I got into music. I got into band. It was a great, the culture of it and the social aspect of it was super attractive to me. And then when I got into junior high school, I started taking it more seriously. I studied with Kirk Vogel, who's a great educator from Greeley, great tenor player, songwriter. He writes a lot of charts for band. But so I started taking private lessons with him. And then I got into high school and I had great mentors there too. Greg Carroll. You guys know Greg. Yeah. He was my jazz band instructor at Greeley Central High School. And then Jeff Davis was the band director. And so when I got to there, those folks started opening up opportunities for me to be more involved in the audio side of things. So, I would do sound for all of the assemblies, and I think even Greg Carroll might have created a class in like electronic music for me, basically, because he was like, he knew that, again, like my whole academic career hinged on me being able to do that stuff. So like, I wasn't interested in doing math, but I was like, oh yeah, I got to do the math so I can do this other stuff. And then I started working for a company up in Greeley. The engineer who was he was the radio engineer at KUNC. His name was Ron Baylor. He had a sound company up in Greeley. And so I think maybe I was 13 or 14. I started pushing cases for him. My mom was a friend of his. And so then that got me involved sort of in that track. So I started doing a lot of live sound stuff. I did sound for the Greeley Central High School big band Boogie Ball for like 30 years or something. And we still do sound for their graduation ceremonies. Probably not this year, but
Yeah.
so that was kind of the jumping off point for me, was really the music stuff. So then when I went to college, I was like looking around and I was like, there's every engineer is a guitar player.
Yeah.
Like when I went to school, I think there was one, I was the saxophone player at UCD, you know? So that's really why I chose to stay with the saxophone then, because really guitar is more my main instrument, and was at the time. But you know, it was like a lot more opportunities. And I got to study with you. I got to study with Lance. What was Lance's last name? I can't remember. Remember that guy, the clarinet player?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He got dystonia too, didn't he?
I can't remember.
He might have been a guy who got like hand dystonia. I can't remember his last name,
Yeah.
but
Good player.
Anyway, Lance was great. And then I got to study a little with Mark Harris, which was great. And actually the music education side of that was the best part of the education. So like I was going to school for engineering, and like everything is different now from then, but all the music stuff is the same, and I can talk to people. That education has really helped me as an engineer, just be able to like communicate with people, and it's helped me to hear what people are going for, and try to be able to help them to get there, you know?
I've been finding myself doing a lot of live sound at the Muse. Seem to be the person that does that the most. And I've learned a lot, and my brother's like a big time sound engineer in the Chicago area, so he can answer my questions. And I think what I've learned is that before a show, you're mostly a psychologist. Just keeping people from losing their shit is the main thing. And there was one time before I knew anything that somebody wanted, before I really knew anything, I was freaking out. I had a huge group in there, and somebody said, can you put more violin, but just in this right monitor? Well, I didn't know how to do that yet. So I just turned up the entire monitor mix. And then I said, is that better? And they said, yes. And I told my brother that, and he said, yes, the psychology of audio is a monitor man's best tool.
No doubt. The jazz people in particular are a little bit more difficult because they've had so many bad experiences that they come into most of their, you know, sound man woman interactions with a negative feeling already, because they've had so many people who don't know what they're doing, like either blast them with feedback or so that's definitely true. It's like making people feel comfortable and like you have their best interest at heart is like a big part of the job.
And when we're in a recording situation, I was certainly guilty of like losing my mind, you know, halfway through the day, like, oh my God, I suck. I'm never going to get this done. And, you know, I totally remember engineers, that you are one of them, probably saying, let's just take a break and come on back, and we'll take a lunch break and we'll come back. There's all that psychology too.
It's interesting in the studio. It's kind of the same concept, but a very different kind of way of approaching people. The thing about the live thing is you just have to get it going. Like there's such a time crunch. It's like, right. You have to sometimes be more short with people and just be like, listen, it's time. We got to get this going. In the studio, you could be a little bit more, you know, you can take the time and like explore what is making someone vulnerable and how to fix that. And I've been thinking about it recently. Like so my first studio, that studio that we recorded a bunch of stuff with you guys in, notably Fine Audio, that studio I opened in '98. Right. So I've been doing it a long time, and I know a lot of the players in town, and I have like a subconscious thing where I'm like, I know what people's preferences are. And so when they get to the studio, I want to have that all set for them.
Yeah.
I also use this in the live sound thing, but I meet a lot more people that I've never met before in the live sound thing. the recording thing is like, you know, it just can really help if somebody shows up and like they don't have to think about any technical anything. You know, there's like they show up and like they sit in a chair and they do their thing. That's what I'm striving to achieve with most of my sessions these days.
Yeah. It's that headphone mix thing, man. The headphone mix. I remember doing those Kendor things. That was always a thing. That was the thing.
That's a hard thing with the big band, especially when there's, you know, those sessions are huge. You know, we got like, what is it, 19 people maybe?
Yeah.
18, 19 folks playing. So like giving everybody an individual thing is not possible technically with the setup that we have here. But it's gotten easier over the years as I understand more, and then the dynamics change of who's in the band, and like the older cats were like, you know, they've been doing it so long that they're a little hard of hearing. So it's like, that's a different mix for them than it is for the, you know, the trumpet players are all like kind of deaf anyway. So it's, it's like everybody needs something different, but I understand the psychology of it better and like hopefully have it closer when people show up. You were on the most recent one, right, Pete?
Yeah.
Kendor?
I haven't been on 2013, obviously.
Right. But that went pretty smooth. I thought like that session was like
Super smooth. Yeah.
I think we're getting into the rhythm of it. Yeah, that's a lot. Those sessions are insane, man.
I've seen a lot of people having like in concert recordings, like live recordings at your studio. Do you do that as a trend? And is it? I didn't notice enough, but were the musicians separated? Or were they all right there in the room and you just had them mic'd up, just like a live concert, but it's in your studio?
It's basically, yeah, it's just a concert in the studio. And then, you know, I mic it up like I would mic up a session. And then we'll bring in some monitors so that they can hear themselves. Cause it's with the live audience thing, it's like weird if everybody is in headphones, you know, it's like, that doesn't totally feel great. So, like the most recent one we did was, with Dale Bruning, and, it was, you know, Eric Gunnison, Paul Romain, Mark Simon, and Dale. And so we just set up a couple monitors and we had a small audience. But the recordings turned out great, and I've been enjoying it. I've been doing really, since the COVID thing hit, I've been really focusing on like video stuff. So I have like a 4-camera shoot I can do in the studio live. Like when we can get back together again and do sessions, the live streaming thing is going to be pretty simple for me.
Cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. I reflect back to a lot of my favorite recordings, and you look like a picture of the recording studio, and they're just like all in there. There might be a few mics, and still somehow it sounds great. And always baffled me like how they can get that such a great sound in that situation. So many musicians.
Yeah, those classic recordings are kind of a different concept than what we've been doing for the last, you know, 30, 40 years. Like most studios in the 80s went to like a really dead, like carpeted kind of artificial reverbs for everything kind of sound. And that doesn't work as good with the single mic in a room kind of thing. You know, you actually had to have a decent space for those classic recordings, like a bigger open space, or some of them were like in apartments that had like really live vibes, but they're really recording the sound of the space as well as and that's part of what makes that music so awesome, is that, you know, you hear actually where it was recorded as part of the recording.
Yeah.
What have you been doing during this downtime? What are you up to?
So I've been doing a bunch of mixing and mastering and editing, a lot of video editing, which is not in my wheelhouse, but it's just something that I have to learn about now, you know, since we're not able to do stuff together. Ben Markley actually sent me the first project where he recorded a chart, a big band chart, and had people just send him the video and audio of them playing his chart to a click track. So I've been putting that together, and it's turning out really good. It's amazing, like using the tools that I use, taking all these disparate recordings and disparate ways of doing it. Like some people, all they had was a phone. So they were like a trumpet track that's like recorded with a cell phone mic, all the way up to, you know, people have like real recording gear. So I put it all together and got it mixed, and now I'm editing it for the video part of it. But it actually sounds like a big band once you get I mean, I have to like massage the parts a little bit because, you know, there's no feel really with a click track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So all those section things that just get sorted out by listening to the lead player in the section, none of that happened. So I have to like, but I know basically what that sounds like and how that should feel. So I'm able to like massage the stuff to make it feel like a big band. It's been really, really fun for me to do. And the video I think is going to turn out really good. It should be done here in the next couple of days.
Wow.
So that's like, that was a fun first foray into the, like, I call it the Brady Bunch video, you know, where
we did one of those acapella. We're trying to do some of those acapella things. And
yeah,
it's weird because even though you're playing to the same metronome, you're not really interacting. I got to do it last. I got to put mine down last, and that's kind of how I play anyway. I'm really the interactor less than the foundation. So it was okay for me, but I think it definitely felt weird.
I've been exploring some. So I'm working also on this. I'm working on this project where we're trying to get bands together to play live over the internet. You know, so that, you know, it's like, say, you know, you guys are at your place playing and somebody's at their place playing. And there's a couple of services that I've been experimenting with. One is a plugin called Listen To, that is, you know, you can insert it into your recording software, and it gives you a like an IP address, and you can send that to somebody, and they can open it up inside of their recording environment. And I did a test the other day with a guy. We were both playing acoustic guitar to see how it would work, and we were getting it to be pretty low latency. So we were like actually playing music in real time together. Ooh. Not in quite real time, but like close enough so that you could feel some connection and you could like move with each other.
How far in distance were you from each other?
He was just like in another part of the city, but you know, we were, you know, he was in his house and I was in my house, kind of thing.
Interesting.
That's cool.
So I'm wanting to explore some more of that. I've got, I mean, we're gonna have to really all get savvy with this stuff. It's not. My feeling is that this isn't going anywhere soon, and I have to figure out a way to, like, you know, still create art help people create art, and so I'm just basically every day is like learning about what is possible. The thing that I'm checking out today is this jamkazam.com. Have you guys
get the Jam Blaster?
I don't know. I have to look into it. Yesterday's test was this Listen To thing, and it worked pretty good. And I think you could connect a whole bunch of people to it, but it doesn't have a video component. I think the Jamkazam thing has a video component.
Well, they claim that with the Jam Blaster, it solves the latency problem.
It seems hard to believe, but
yeah,
it's very beta. So,
well,
right.
Tell us a little bit about your performance, your performing groups, the things that you're interested as a performer rather than an engineer.
Sure. So, you know, I've been playing in rock bands basically since the early 90s, and that's super fun for me. You know, I built my life in such a way where performance for me isn't like a way of like to make a living, you know, so I can kind of just do stuff for fun, and I don't have to like be super like emotionally invested in it. You know, I don't have to feel like oh, like this is what I'm doing with my life creatively, you know. I have projects where I do that. So one is Andy Monley. He's a singer-songwriter from here in Denver. You guys may know Julie Monley, his sister, who's a great jazz singer. So I've been playing in his band, and we have a new record coming out, Andy Monley and the High Horses. So that's like one of my most favorite things that I do. The other is Cow House. It's a electronic prepared guitar duo that I have with Janet Fetter.
Oh, wow.
Who is, yeah, she's great. If you're not familiar with her music, it's very otherworldly.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. We have a new record that I'm that's one of the nice things about not being so busy is I'm getting all these projects that I've been working on forever done. And then about 12 years ago, we started a music festival up in Greeley called My Favorite Bands, where we do tribute sets to whoever you want to tribute to. And it really started as a excuse to get my like college band Peter, Paul, and Gary together. So we like play at the end of the night every festival, and we're not a tribute band. We just play like whatever covers basically. And but all the rest of the bands do like they either do an album or they do an artist. And so over the years, I've always, you know, I've done a bunch of different sets of different music. We've done David Bowie and Tom Waits and Talking Heads and the Pixies and then we've had all kinds of other great musicians join and play. Actually, most of the folks from the UNC music faculty have a band called Chitlin Dixon, and they did like a great Michael Jackson set, and they did Prince and Queen. They're just unbelievable. So it's just a fun excuse to get together and with our pals and play some music. But some of those bands have gone on to play outside of the festival, and one of those is Jocko Homo, which is our Devo tribute band, which is so fun. We get to, you know, we dress up in the costumes and the silly flower pot hats and all that. And then another one is the Lost Dog Ensemble. We do Tom Waits music.
Oh, nice.
That's a great band. Dave Willey is in that with us, and Mark Rains, and yeah, it's super fun. And then another one is Little Creatures. We do the music of the Talking Heads. So we were actually supposed to do a dual bill Tom Waits Talking Heads set on March 13th at the Buffalo Rose, but that got canceled.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you want to play something for us, but we have had people playing for us. I don't know if you're up for doing that.
You know, I am at the studio, but I don't really have anything set up for that right now.
Well, that's okay. Then we'll ask you what we're asking everybody. If you have any, you know, words to send out to people, or words of wisdom, or thoughts about like where we're going, or encouragement.
Or to add, do you feel like what's happened now is going to change how we come out of this, or will it be back to normal?
I think it's so hard to say. The situation's changing every day, but my outlook is not super sunny for this summer. I feel like we're probably not going back to work probably this year, which is a huge obstacle to overcome as a business owner. I mean, I know you guys are in the same boat with Muse, but I just don't see it going back to normal without, you know, some kind of cure or vaccine or something. So, you know, how I afford to have a recording studio is doing live events. So I go out and I do sound for City Park Jazz, and we do the UMS and Westward and the UNC Jazz Festival and Vale Jazz Festival, all this kind of thing. And the outlook is like not good for all that stuff this summer. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people are just, you know, City Park Jazz. I'm sure you guys saw that they canceled that for this year, but they're paying everyone, which is amazing.
But I think these that once they start letting smaller gatherings happen, you know, we can, all of us, start doing more live streaming, the kind of things you were talking about, to give musicians an outlook and potentially create at least some income. That's my thought, is that we may not be able to put audiences in for a while, but I think we might be able to do live streaming sooner than later.
I certainly hope that's the case. I mean, I'm all geared up for it. I'm like ready to go and hoping that it happens. You know, I basically, starting about March 16th, my full-time job became like applying for all of the assistance I could get. And so that's an ongoing process. But so far, you know, I haven't really seen any fruition of that. But I feel like, you know, I'm gonna try my damnedest to make it through it, and I think that's where everybody's at. You know, we just have to, like, it's all I know. I've never done anything else, so unless I'm stocking shelves or something, I want to keep helping people make their art and making my own.
Well, in that vein, this is our little fancy sign, tells you where you can contribute, and we're at this point, we're giving as much of the donations to musicians as we get. So if you feel, listeners, viewers, feel like you want to donate, please either Venmo or go to our website and PayPal, and yeah, we'll just try to shore up some of these musicians.
And sound engineers too.
Yeah. Well, he's a musician.
Yeah.
I actually got some benefit from the Recording Academy, so that was cool. They're supposedly sending me a check, so there are people out there helping, and I'm very happy to be working for the folks that have mixing projects and stuff. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's hard as a business owner to see what the path forward is. You know, we just kind of have to wait and see what happens, but people are still making great art, so that's heartening.
All right.
Well, thank you, Colin. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for everything you do.
All right.